Imagine turning your idle XRP or Flare into a passive income machine, earning yields while you're sleeping, bridging worlds, and unlocking the doors of DeFi that used to be slammed shut. Welcome to what we're today going to call Unlocking Flare. We're going to talk about utility, yields, and passive income magic. I am Zip. Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate all the likes, all the new subscribers. Again, welcome. This channel is about exposing you in this journey of crypto and bringing new opportunities to earn passive yield, especially with XRP if you decide that you want to do that. But today we're going to talk about how to mint FXRP. We're going to talk high level about what Flare is and compare Flare to W Flare, what wrapping means, and really just spotlight some killer platforms that I'm using like SparkDex and Scepter for real world returns. Hopefully by the end of this, you're going to see why Flare isn't just a chain. It's really a ticket to XRP Fi, which is really XRP DeFi, delegation rewards and effortless gains. And why I think Flare is going to be another one of those projects that's just going to be magical, and the token itself is going to absolutely increase in price. So if you're holding XRP or you've been thinking about DeFi and you hear all of this terminology of DeFi, hit the like button and let's get this information out, because it's about exposure and understanding. Look, holding assets like XRP is absolutely cool and waiting for price appreciation. But being able to put those assets to work and earn additional income from them, that is wonderful in my opinion. So let's get into this. Let me switch the screen here, minimize that, because we're going to talk about first things first. What is Flare? Flare, FLR, is the native token of the Flare network. It's a layer 1 blockchain that's EVM compatible, meaning Ethereum devs can build here seamlessly on the Flare environment, but with a twist. Flare is absolutely laser focused on interoperability. And we talk about that all the time, because the future of digital finance and the future of this environment is an interoperable environment. It's not going to be one token, one crypto takes all of the pie. Yes, there's going to be extreme winners and there's going to be extreme losers. That's why diversification, in my opinion, is key. But Flare was born about in 2020 and launched in 2023 after it had an XRP airdrop. Those of us that owned XRP at the time, there was a snapshot and there was a small airdrop that accompanied after Flare launched. But Flare basically solves crypto's huge headache: getting data and assets from non-smart contract chains like XRP into a DeFi environment without trusting any middlemen. Now remember, all of the Flare environment is non-custodial, meaning you hold on to your assets. You're in complete control. They're not leaving your wallet. You have control to bring them back at any time you want to with regards to XRP minting, but we'll get into that. So really, what does Flare do in the environment? Think of it, as the lifeblood, if you would. It handles payments and fees. It powers transactions and is the gas. FLR is the gas. It's super cheap, right now under a penny each, to keep spam out and to increase speed within the environment. It also allows staking and security with your Flare. You can stake your Flare right now or delegate your Flare right now to validators to what? Increase network defense. That's what staking mechanisms are about. Proof of stake style, earning you rewards while locking in decentralization. It allows governance. It's a governance system to where you have the opportunity to vote on new capabilities within it. Flare holders can vote on upgrades, shaping Flare's future. You have a voice. Think of it as a crypto democracy. And the oracle magic behind Flare, the oracles, they fuel the Flare, which they utilize FTSO, Flare, time series oracles, delivering decentralized price feeds for DeFi apps. No more centralized oracle risks. Multiple FTSOs feeding in mechanisms, giving up-to-date pricing information. Think back to October 10th and what happened with the market liquidity drop that we're still facing the consequences for. I put out a video yesterday discussing high level what happened there. An exchange had one feed, speculation, this is what's coming out, this is what we believe happened, but one feed coming in for their prices, and they did not have a robust infrastructure to where multiple feeds were coming in. That's what the FSTOs do, multiple feeds to make sure all of the pricing within the environment is up to date and secure. With 100 billion total supply of Flare, it's an inflationary environment, but deflationary because of the mechanics, like the burning fees that are associated to keep the environment sustainable long term. Total circulation, around 60 billion as of right now. And we continue, those of us that own Flare, we continue to have Flare drops as you're participating in this environment. So they're giving out Flare, and that ends, I believe it's January of next year, 2026. This is real utility that is fueling and buzzing the ecosystem. Absolutely a tremendous opportunity. So if you're not excited yet, hold on. We're going to get into some things because we're just warming up. I wanted to give an overview of what Flare is in general. Now, here's the fun part, because again, how do you earn passive income in this Flare environment? And that's what we're going to talk about now. Flare's DeFi environment is absolutely exploding. We can look here and you can see the amount of TVL that is growing within the environment, approximately at $188 million right now and growing week by week. But how can you take advantage of the passive income? Because we're all here to make money. That's what it's about. Here's how. We're going to talk about it and dive into it a little bit deeper, but it's delegation rewards, as I spoke to a minute ago, via the FTSO. Basically, you're going to take your Flare and you're going to wrap it, which just means it turns into W Flare. Absolutely seamless process, easy, and all you have to do is delegate to an FTSO or two FTSOs, and you're going to earn extra Flare just from participating in that environment. It's a very, very easy way to accumulate Flare for doing absolutely nothing, but just holding on to it and participating in the delegation rewards. Beyond that, you can also stake your Flare. And we'll get into that in a minute on some of these platforms like Scepter, but you can stake your Flare to earn even more reward and extra Flare within the environment. And then within the Flare ecosystem, we're talking about liquidity and pools and yield farming opportunities. An opportunity to provide Flare using W Flare liquidity on DEXs. This is a little bit more of an advanced level, but if you begin to do the research and you start out small, I would never recommend to anyone diving all in. You want to educate yourself and learn about the environment. This video is just to expose you to the capabilities of the Flare environment and what those are. But the liquidity pools and the yield farming are tremendous environments to, again, earn passive income, to earn yield. Is there risk? Absolutely. There's risk in holding crypto in general. You guys know that already. What else? Lending and borrowing. We talk about tax-free ways to utilize our crypto. There are lending and borrowing mechanisms within the Flare environment to, again, you can provide Flare in these environments and get and earn additional yield up to 15 to 25%, depending on what pairs you're, borrowing or lending against. Again, you got to get into the education. This video is going to be shorter. I can't get into the deep dive mechanics. All the information is out there. If you go out the Flare and you look at all the information, the education is there for you to begin to learn and understand. How else are we earning income in the Flare environment? Flare drops are just a bonus. Again, all you have to do is hold wrapped Flare, WFLR, or stake it, as we were talking about, and you get monthly Flare drops. That basically is just free money that you're getting for just participating in the environment. Now, the Flare drops will be coming to an end here in January, as I had said. But again, XRP holders, what are we talking about here? This is a non-custodial golden ticket for you, in my opinion. To be able to take FXRP in Flare's trustless environment and wrap XRP and utilize that in a DeFi environment. Basically, FXRP is just a wrapped version of XRP. It's a one-for-one version of XRP. All you're doing is wrapping it. And Flare's environment is pretty dang good and risk-free. They're providing an over-collateralized environment by agents using Flare and stablecoins to really unlock the full potential of XRP-Fi without ever having to sell your bag. And remember, it remains in your non-custodial wallet. And that's one of the benefits I like to look for. There are other options out there to where you could take your XRP and you could put it into a black hole, I would call it, and it's not in your custodial wallet anymore. For me, I don't like that. I want to keep it in my control. And if I don't want to play in the playing ground anymore, I can take my crypto and move on. And that's what Flare is about. But how do we mint? FXRP, basically, what do you need? You need to have a wallet. You need to link a Ledger wallet or your Bifrost wallet or a Zaman wallet, as an example, to be able to mint XRP. And then you're going to deposit that XRP and send it to agent addresses, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. And then, then to be able to use it, you can then have that FXRP. You can trade it in SparkDex, which we'll show you. You can lend it on Kinetic. You can earn yields while your original XRP just chills in a vault and stays secure. And you can redeem it again at any time that you want because you are in full control. So Flare Finance, again, it is a DeFi hub of opportunity. Again, we've been through this before, but this is the landing page to be able to mint your XRP. The homepage looks like this. It shows you all of the different pools and the assets. If you want to mint your XRP, you would basically come here. In order to mint, you can mint lots of 10 XRP. Each lot is basically is 10 XRP. Come in here, very easy process. All you have to do is link your wallet and you're off to the races to be able to play in this DeFi environment. Once that FXRP is minted, what do you have the capability to do? You can go into SparkDex as an example, and there are many other environments you can go into. I'm just hitting on a couple of them, but you can go into SparkDex and you can play in collateral pools, and you can put up your FXRP against wrapped Flare as an example, against USDTO as an example, and you can play in this environment and earn yield. Yield, to me, in a safe manner, is where it's at. Again, you want to be careful. You want to just take your time and dip your toe in, so to speak, before you dive all in. Other opportunities, we talk to the staking. Again, Scepter, you can sit on Scepter and you can earn yield. And all you're doing here is you're taking your already what you have, your Flare, you're wrapping it into W Flare, and you're just staking it to secure the network. And it's an easy way. Right now, I think it's a 48% APY right now on just staking your Flare. So again, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many opportunities out there. Flare is absolutely going to be huge. In my opinion, just holding the token alone and delegating and staking it, you're ahead of the curve with what is to come in the future, because I believe Flare in and of itself, the token, is absolutely going to have price appreciation. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. You got to do your own research. I'm just here to give you as much information and opportunity as possible as we're traveling in this journey together. Again, Flare is not hype. This is utility really on steroids, and they are building a phenomenal infrastructure environment. FXRP brings XRP to DeFi, allowing the opportunity to take idle XRP, which you're just holding on to, and you're waiting for price appreciation, to take a part of that and put it into an environment to earn more yield and to earn more Flare and USDTO, whatever you decide to do with it. It's a no-brainer, in my opinion. But again, what you want to do is start small and always, absolutely always, do your own research. But I would recommend today, this week, going out and looking at Flare. Go back into my video catalog. I've done other updates on Flare and talked about how to actually utilize it. I actually did a live not too long ago and walked through a bunch of questions and answer session, if you would. But with that, this is going to wrap up everything on Flare. I hope you gained some exposure, some knowledge about Flare, at least to spark a little interest to go out and investigate and understand how, if you're an XRP owner for sure, you can put some of that XRP to use and other opportunities to earn yield and within the Flare environment. And they're going to continue to grow this interoperable environment and bring on other coins like XLM, Bitcoin. You're going to be able to mint everything, as it's going to be a one-stop shop for DeFi in the future. But with that, have a fabulous rest of your day. Have an absolutely great week, and we'll talk to you next time. Zip is out.